there's a disconnect between code enforcement and actual reality. This trailer's been in storage over here for a little while, and it has no battery power. And so I can't move it easily. I can't bring up the little legs or move it easily because the batteries are completely dead. And that means I may have to replace the battery because it was in storage. Now, the biggest complaint the code enforcement had, and we're going to resolve this with a special use permit, is that even things in storage need power. And so while I'm getting power for the farm, I do need to have the hookups in order to hook up an RV if it's going to be in storage, or if you end up having multiple RVs, because the unit has to be moved periodically. You just can't sit here in the woods and get dirt all over it. And you can see I need to wash it. It's as dirty as my truck. So you can see all the pine sap and stuff on it. So this was a brand new unit when I got it. I got a fair price on it, and I've used it probably almost a month, 2 months. I've had it longer than that, but I like to take it out more often. But if it's just sitting here in the woods without any power, without the ability to periodically turn on the vacuum and clean it, or to run the system through to make sure the gas is still good, to make sure the pumps aren't sitting idle. This, of course, is in storage because I drained all the water out of it and prepared it for the winter. But ultimately, I got to let it sit for 30 minutes or so with the truck idling in order for it to get charged up enough that I can even just bring up the legs. And it should be good about now to retract. Yeah, there we go. We got retraction on it. So we're up here for 15-20 minutes to get it up and going. Now, of course, hooked to the truck, the power will stay once we're going, because we're actually using the truck battery instead of the battery in the RV unit. But again, you're going to have these disconnects on a farm, especially when we're doing this regenerative method, where we're not building big barns and big houses and stuff like that, where we're essentially going to live in sheep camps and possibly smaller RVs. You can't really pull this one around with the animals, but small campers, tents, and other means to be more with the animals, to have better security for the animals. And ultimately, again, there's going to be a disconnect. So again, most of your areas, if you have agricultural land, you can get a special use permit that would allow off-grid camping on the property, boondocking or other things like that. It would also, there is no restriction on private party camping, meaning family members and your own self from camping on your property. You just can't leave stuff hooked up for long periods of time. And as I assure everybody, they're not hooked up for long periods of time. There's no water on the site or anything like that either. But again, I've got to be able to keep enough power in the thing to take care of it so that I can get it off site quickly instead of spending 15 or 20 minutes trying to get things up and running. But it looks like everything's charged up now. The key point here is they're not going to understand what you're doing. You're starting a farm. There are more people that are not doing farming than doing farming. So farming is going to be unusual, especially for the code inspectors that spend 99% of their time looking at houses. And so in order to get your stuff up and running, you may have to do a special use permit. There's nothing wrong with that. But again, in support of agricultural activities, it's a whole lot cheaper to get on a piece of land with an RV or a travel trailer or van life than it is to get on there with a full-blown house, especially when your animal inventory could be $20,000, $30,000, $40,000 just to get started, and then feed costs and stuff like that. Anyway, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead. I want to see you getting started. There are many ways to get started. Depends on your locality. Join us at www.prosperityhomestead.org/newsletter is where our newsletter is. It's a free newsletter, and I'll be happy to answer any questions you have. Again, I'm Justin Hitt with Prosperity Homestead.